You click because something won't stop. Not curiosity, not outrage, something sharper. A mental splinter you keep pressing on, even though it hurts, even though pressing changes nothing. Jeffrey Epstein didn't just die, he escaped, and your brain knows it. And if someone like him can vanish without consequence, your brain assumes no one is safe. That's the wound. Not what he did, not who he knew. The fact that power folded around him like a shield, then erased itself. No trial, no names, no reckoning, just silence that screams louder than any verdict could. And you? You're still awake at 2 a.m. scrolling threads, still reconstructing timelines that lead nowhere, still feeling that low-grade nausea when his name surfaces again, because it always does, always will. This isn't activism. It's not even anger anymore. It's your mind refusing to move on from something the world already forgot. What really matters. While everyone else scrolls past, you're bleeding attention into a black hole that swallowed consequence and left you holding the bill. Your focus, your sleep, your faith that anything responds when it should. You think you're searching for truth. You're not. You're searching for an ending your brain will accept, and it's destroying you in ways you haven't named yet. This video names them. Your brain isn't broken. The world is. But your brain doesn't know the difference. So it keeps trying to fix what can't be fixed. Solve what was designed to stay unsolved. Close a loop that was cut open and left to bleed. That's the real damage. Not what Epstein did. Not even that he got away with it. It's that your mind is still processing an event that never finished. No resolution, no consequences, just a question mark that turned into a knife. You're not obsessed because you're weak. You're obsessed because you're human. And humans require closure the way lungs require air. Without it, everything suffocates. Focus fractures. Sleep dissolves. The world starts feeling like a stage where the rules apply to everyone except the people who deserve them most. This video won't give you justice. That ship sailed the moment the camera stopped working, but it will give you something more valuable. Understanding why this case lives in your head, rent-free. Why you can't let go. Why trying to let go feels like betrayal. Because once you see the mechanism, you stop being its prisoner. That's not closure. It's something better. It's freedom from needing it. Stay. Your brain doesn't need truth. It needs an ending. Any ending. Even a bad one. Because the human mind wasn't built to hold open files indefinitely. It closes them, categorizes them, shelves them. That's how you function without drowning in every unresolved moment of your life. But Epstein's case? It won't close. The file stays open, flashing, demanding attention like a smoke alarm with dying batteries. You can't ignore it. You can't silence it. And every time you try to move on, something pulls you back. A new article, a resurfaced photo, a name that should have been exposed but wasn't. This isn't about morality. It's neurology. When injustice completes, when someone is caught, tried, sentenced, your brain experiences relief. Not because the world is fixed, but because the narrative has structure, beginning, middle, end. The loop closes. You're free to forget. Epstein denied you that. His death wasn't an ending, it was an amputation. Mid-sentence, mid-exposure. Right before the part where names get named and systems get shaken. The story was interrupted at the exact moment it mattered most. So your brain does what it always does with unfinished business. It replays, rewinds, searches for the missing piece, tries to construct the ending that reality refused to provide. This is why you remember his face better than people you see every week. Why you know details about his island you'll never need. Why theories loop through your mind while you're trying to fall asleep. Your brain isn't obsessing, it's trying to survive. Because open wounds don't heal, they fester. And unfinished injustice is the deepest kind of wound. One that convinces your nervous system the danger is still present, still watching, still winning. It installs something worse than fear. It installs vigilance that never sleeps. Immunity feels like a predator watching. There's a specific tension that settles into your body when the rules stop applying evenly. Not anger, not even shock. Something older, a tightness in the shoulders, a sharpness in the air. The same sensation your ancestors felt when they realized the forest had gone too quiet. Epstein's immunity wasn't abstract. It was witnessed, documented, argued in courtrooms where words like work release were used to describe a man who spent his days in an office instead of a cell, who walked out, who continued. And something in you registered that as wrongness so profound, it bypassed thought entirely. Because the brain doesn't process power imbalances intellectually, it processes them as survival data. When someone operates outside consequence while others suffocate under it, your nervous system doesn't see injustice. It sees unpredictability, a world where cause and effect have been severed. That's the threat, not him, the severing. You can plan your life around rules. You can't plan around their absence. And when consequence becomes selective, the ground underneath everything becomes uncertain. Work harder. Does it matter? Follow the law. Does it protect you? Trust institutions. Are they even real? These aren't philosophical questions. They're the questions a mind asks when it realizes the map it's been using is outdated, that the system doesn't operate the way it claimed, that immunity isn't rare, it's purchasable. Epstein wasn't an anomaly. He was a preview, and your brain has been scanning for others ever since. Not consciously, not deliberately, but the way an animal scans after seeing another animal taken. The vigilance doesn't announce itself. It just runs, constantly, quietly, draining you in ways that never show up as exhaustion. You think you're angry at him. You're not. You're terrified the world has always worked this way, and you're just now seeing it. Thinking feels like control. It's actually collapse. You've convinced yourself that if you just connect the right dots, read the right thread, find the piece everyone else missed, something will shift. The fog will clear. The weight will lift. You'll finally understand enough to let go, but you won't. Because understanding was never the issue. Your mind isn't searching for clarity. It's performing a ritual, an ancient one, the kind humans have always performed when facing forces too large to fight. If I stay alert, nothing worse can happen. If I keep watching, I'll see it coming next time. If I understand it fully, I can protect myself from it. Except you can't. And the ritual is costing you everything. Every hour spent reconstructing flight logs is an hour you didn't spend building something that matters. Every mental loop through conspiracy forums is a loop away from people who need you present. Your brain thinks it's solving. It's actually hemorrhaging. This is what obsession does. It masquerades as purpose. Gives you something to grip when everything else feels slippery. Makes you feel like you're doing something when you're actually doing nothing at all. And the cruelest part? It works just enough to keep you hooked. You find a new connection, a previously overlooked detail, a timeline that almost makes sense. The dopamine hits. You feel close. You keep going. But close to what? An answer that will never arrive? Justice that died in a cell? A system that will suddenly care because you finally cracked the code? No, you're chasing a mirage. And mirages don't get closer. They recede. Forever. Meanwhile, your actual life is happening. Without you. Your attention is a resource and you're spending it on a black hole that produces nothing but more questions. More threads. More nights where you look up and realize hours vanished into a screen. You're not investigating anymore. You're disintegrating. Why try if nothing responds? It's not a question you ask out loud. It's one that forms in the silence between actions. When you sit down to start something and the energy just isn't there. When opportunities pass and you can't explain why you didn't reach for them. When later becomes your default setting for everything that used to matter. This is what happens when the external world stops reflecting effort. When you watch someone commit atrocities and walk free while others drown for infractions that barely register. Your brain stops believing in cause and effect. Not consciously. Deeper than that. Motivation isn't inspiration. It's the belief that action produces outcome. That trying leads somewhere. That the world has a response mechanism, even if it's slow, even if it's imperfect. But Epstein's case shattered that belief at a fundamental level. You watched the most documented crimes imaginable produce nothing. Witnesses came forward. Evidence existed. Names were known. The map was drawn. And still, nothing. Silence so loud it echoed into every other area where you're supposed to believe effort matters. So why apply for the promotion? The game's rigged anyway. Why have the difficult conversation? People with power don't face consequences for worse. Why build toward the future? The present just proved structure is a story we tell children. This isn't laziness. It's not even depression, though it wears the same face. It's something more specific. Systemic disillusionment metabolized into personal paralysis. The external failure becomes internal shutdown. You stop starting things. Stop finishing them. Stop caring if they happen at all. And the worst part? You don't notice it happening. There's no dramatic moment, just a slow fade. A dimming. Priorities that used to pull you forward now sit untouched. Dreams you used to protect now collect dust in the corner of your mind. The world stopped responding. So you did too. Your values didn't fail. Reality did. You still know right from wrong. You can still feel the difference between cruelty and kindness, between harm and care. That compass inside you didn't break. It's pointing exactly where it always pointed. The problem is the terrain stopped matching the map. You were raised on a story. Work hard and you'll succeed. Tell the truth and you'll be believed. Do wrong and you'll face consequences. Protect the innocent and the system will back you. These weren't just platitudes. They were the operating principles you built a life around. Epstein didn't challenge your morality. He exposed that the world doesn't run on it. That's a different kind of pain. Not guilt, not shame, something closer to betrayal. You upheld your end. You believed in fairness, acted with integrity, trusted that the arc bends toward justice, even if slowly. And then you watched someone torture children, get caught, get protected, and die before a single powerful person faced a single real consequence. The math doesn't math, and when meaning collapses, cynicism fills the space. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind that makes you shrug when you used to care, that makes you scroll past suffering you used to stop for. That turns "it is what it is" into a reflex instead of a thought. You're not becoming a bad person. You're becoming a person who stopped expecting the world to be good. And that shift is so subtle, you don't recognize it until you're standing in the middle of your own indifference, wondering when you became this. Cynicism isn't a choice. It's a defense mechanism. A way to stop feeling disappointed when reality keeps proving that principles are optional and power is permanent. You didn't lose your values. You lost your faith that they matter outside your own head. And that loss has no name, no ceremony, just erosion. Feeling nothing is safer than feeling cheated forever. So you stopped feeling. Not all at once, not dramatically, just a slow withdrawal, like turning down the volume on a song that's been playing too loud for too long. First the sharp edges go, then the colors, then everything flattens into a tolerable gray. You don't cry at movies anymore. Don't get excited about plans. Don't feel the rush when good things happen or the sting when they don't. People ask if you're okay, and you say yes because you're not sad. You're not anything. And nothing feels like peace compared to what came before. But it's not peace. It's shutdown. Your nervous system made a calculation. Caring costs too much. Every injustice is a wound. Every broken promise is a fracture. Every instance of power protecting power is another proof that feeling deeply only means bleeding deeper. So it stopped letting you feel deeply at all. This is what happens when the world refuses to meet your emotional investment, with even the pretense of reciprocity. You loved people. Believed in systems, trusted that horror would be met with horror, that collective outrage would produce collective action. And then you watched it all evaporate into hashtags and news cycles and silence. The betrayal wasn't just external, it was metabolic. Your body learned that engagement equals pain, that caring makes you vulnerable, that hope is a liability in a world where the worst things happen and nothing changes. So you armored up, not with rage, with apathy. And now you move through life like you're watching it through glass, present but not participating, breathing but not alive. Relationships feel distant, conversations feel hollow, joy feels performative. You're there, but you're not there, and nobody notices because you've gotten so good at pretending the lights are still on. But you've been living in the dark for a while now. Alert minds don't dream. They scan, they monitor, they prepare for the next thing to go wrong. And when you've been scanning for years, something happens to your relationship with time. It stops moving forward. It circles, tightens, traps you in a permanent present tense where everything is reaction and nothing is vision. You used to have plans, real ones, not just vague wishes, but blueprints, things you were building toward, a career, a move, a version of yourself that felt worth becoming. But somewhere along the way, those blueprints started feeling naive, pointless. Like decorating a house that's already on fire. Planning requires a premise, that tomorrow will come, that effort accumulates, that the ground beneath you is stable enough to build on. But Epstein's case and everything it revealed shattered that premise. It showed you the ground was never stable, that the people who should have been stopped weren't, that the future isn't earned through integrity, it's inherited through proximity to power. So why plan? Why invest in a version of yourself 5 years from now when the present just proved 5 years of evidence means nothing. This is what unresolved trauma does to time. It freezes it, turns your brain into a guard dog that never rests. You can't dream about next year because you're still processing what happened years ago. You can't build because you're too busy bracing, too busy making sure nothing else slips through the cracks the way he did. And the cost isn't dramatic. It's not panic attacks or breakdowns. It's smaller. You stop making long-term decisions. Stop imagining where you want to be. Stop believing there's a version of the future worth reaching for. You're not depressed, you're just stuck. Locked in a moment that never ended. Living defensively in a world that trained you to expect the worst. And the worst part? You don't even remember what it felt like to expect anything else. If it were about him, you'd be free already. He's dead. Gone. Whatever justice you wanted from his body is impossible now. And yet you're still here. Still thinking about it. Still carrying the weight. Still feeling the edges of something that won't let go. That should tell you everything. This was never about Jeffrey Epstein. He's just the name your mind attached to something much larger. Something that existed long before his arrest and will exist long after his name fades from headlines. He became the face of a realization you can't unsee. That the world doesn't operate on the principles you were promised. That power insulates. That wealth erases. That the systems designed to protect actually protect something else entirely. Epstein didn't create that. He just made it visible in a way you couldn't ignore. And now your brain is stuck because it's not processing a person. It's processing the collapse of a framework. The moment you realized fairness was a story, not a structure, that accountability is negotiable, that some people live outside the consequences that govern everyone else. That's the real wound, not what he did. What his existence proved about where you live. You can't fix that by understanding him better. You can't solve it by finding one more connection or reading one more article. Because the problem isn't information, it's dissonance. The gap between the world you believed in and the one that actually exists. Epstein is a symptom. The disease is a system that ate justice and smiled. That turned horror into paperwork. That let monsters retire in comfort while their victims begged to be believed. He's the splinter. But the infection is everywhere. And until you stop treating the splinter like the source, you'll keep bleeding into a case that was designed to go nowhere. The clarity you need isn't about him. It's about what you do now that you know. Understanding this doesn't fix reality. It stops your mind from being consumed by it. Epstein's case will never close the way you need it to. The names won't all be named. The system won't confess. The people who protected him won't face cameras and apologize. That ending doesn't exist, but you can still have one. Not through justice, through recognition. You've been carrying a weight that was never yours to carry, trying to solve what was deliberately left unsolvable, bleeding attention into a void that only takes. Now you know why. Not because you're weak or obsessed or broken, because you're human, and humans need closure, need consequence, need to believe effort matters and wrong gets corrected. The world failed that need, spectacularly, publicly, in a way that left scars you couldn't name until now. But naming them is the first step toward not being ruled by them, toward reclaiming the focus you've been spending on ghosts, toward building a future that isn't held hostage by an unfinished past. The world hasn't changed, but you don't have to keep bleeding for it. If this gave you clarity you've been searching for, don't let it end here. Subscribe. Share this with someone still trapped in the loop. Your mind deserves its freedom back. Welcome to Mindern.